of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you and welcome everybody.
Cancel that with your mouse.
It is 9 o'clock. Serving today, we've got Commissioner myself, Commissioner Chris Hollingsworth, also our administrators and our HR director, Kathy Fest. You all received a copy of the packets, and the packet was also posted online. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I have several, please. Item number 2 under consent agenda, we have add-on commissioners warrants this morning for $11,924.09. It's $11,924.09. At 9:15, Bill Folger's IT director information will be tablet purchases, and you have his information in your packet. Media has it in your packet as well, and there's also copies of it back on the chair back there if anyone else wants to see that. And that will be an action item for tablet purchases. At 10 o'clock, please delete the item transfer judicial ditch funds to Murray County Ditch 21 cash account. That does not have to occur at this time. We'll deal with that in 2024 when we do a ditch assessment for ditches 7 and 21 for Murray County. We'll take care of that. It's a minor amount, about $421 is all we're talking about here. So it's not an issue we have to take up at the board level. And lastly, under other business, I'm requesting authorization to approve a invoice payment to R&R Painting. That's the company that painted the courtroom. I would request payment as an auditor's warrant. We have had issues getting their Minnesota Department of Revenue IC 134 form properly sent and then acted on at the state. So as soon as we get that back, I want to get that paid as soon as possible, because they've been very patient with us through this whole process and they did a good job. And I don't want to wait for another 2 weeks to get it under as a commissioner's warrant. So that would be my request when we get to the other business. So approve an R&R Painting payment as an auditor's warrant. So, and Mr. Chairman, that's all I have for this morning for changes.
Anybody else? If not, entertain a motion. Okay, thank you, Chris. Moving second, Doug second agenda. Further question, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Anyone? Also, in your packet, you received the minutes then of our last meeting on the 14th. Also, our commissioner warrants, and we just added on $11,924.09 in addition to the other warrants from 317 and 324. And the hospital warrants as well too.
Mr. Chair, I move for approval.
Thank you, Luke. I'll support that. Thank you, Alice. Moved and seconded. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Aye. Okay. First then today, we've got Nick Berman, our highway engineer. Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning. Morning.
First up for me would be just a short maintenance update. After our last blizzard, that took quite a bit of effort on our part. So the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that 4-day stretch, our guys put in averaging up to about 45 hours in those 4-day events. That took, that included some of the time where we couldn't even see to be on the road. So I just wanted to put a little plug in for them. It's pretty good dedication on their part. Next up, I don't know how long this has been going on. We've been doing an observational seatbelt survey. This information is used by the TZD, which is Towards Zero Death committee or group, whatever. Pretty much for safety information, and they use it for education and whatnot. I don't know how long we've been doing this. I feel like it's been as long as I can remember.
It's been quite a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. You probably remember that. I think I'd like to keep doing it. You know, it takes, I don't know, what's it take? We have to survey a few different locations. Our guys pretty much just go there and sets and counts who's wearing seatbelts and who's not. A few different locations. What is it? A couple hours at a time.
You might waste half a day, or not waste, but take half.
Okay.
So you just sit at an intersection someplace and you just watch. Basically.
Yeah, we've got T-belts.
Sometimes it's hard to see what's going on, but that's what you do.
Right, so, I think I'd like to keep helping out, I'd like to keep doing this, but I figured, it's been a long time, I should probably bring it up to the board just to make sure that you're all okay with us doing it. That's
So the only thing that really costs us is just that little bit of time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's this year, it's I think the second week in April. I think they gave us 3 or 4 days to choose from. We would schedule that around snow removal if need be. The thing that always gets me is, members of the public might see a county guy just sitting there doing nothing, quote unquote, for a couple hours. Like, yeah, that's what it looks like. He's actually doing something. So, so that now that you're aware of what's going on, that would probably help. If you got a call, you would know what's up. But, so
it's a state report. You report that to the state.
Yes.
Correct?
Yep. Yep. I can't remember what the lady's title is, but I could put you in contact with her if you got any other questions.
I don't think that's necessary. I don't really think it's
I think it's good.
Yeah. It doesn't take formal action on our part. It's just you're letting us know what's going on.
Yep.
I appreciate that.
Yep, I've been in this position, I think 5 years, and I don't ever remember talking about it. So it might be something that gets forgotten about. So I just kind of wanted to bring it to the forefront again. And if anybody had any objection to us doing this, we could stop.
Mr. Chair, I'm on that TDZ committee with Nick here, and it's a very data-driven group there. And I just also want to commend you for your presence on those committee meetings too.
Yeah. Thank you.
Appreciate Chris.
Okay, well, we'll just keep doing it then, but just me and Lisa, you guys know it's going on in case you get a call. It should be, I want to say it's April 6th to 11th is our time range. So somewhere in there, mid-April, you hear about something like that. Well, they're not doing nothing or doing what they're supposed to be doing. It looks like.
I guess after you do the report, it'd be somewhat interesting to get a little bit of a feel percentage-wise. We don't need a formal report. You kind of let us know what your findings are.
So at whatever TZD meeting we have following the completion of their data collection, I think they give that out, don't they? So we'll have it from their report. But yeah, but try to make a mental note to bring that back, but I'll let you guys know. I think they do a historical too, don't they? Remember, like this one was last year or something like that. So
short of the transit.
Yeah. So I can. We'll do that again here, and then I'll try to remember to bring that information back to you. Next item for me, I put on my agenda bid opening software. I was approached by one of our normal bidders for box culverts and just kind of, I don't know what you want to call it, really upset with us, but he's like, oh, I really think you guys should consider bid opening or electronic bid opening again, because he brought this up in the past. And I've said that, yeah, it's probably the way of the future, but we'll let everybody else try and get the parts worked out first. But he re-emphasized again, he thinks we should do that. I think it's something that we should do at some point in the future. Is that later this year or next year, 5 years from now? I don't know, but I just don't want it to be the first time you've heard of it. We don't want to bring it up in the future. So what this would do is like RT Vision, One Office, it's a company that contracts with MnDOT. And pretty much they collect the bids electronically, and whatever time you have set for bid opening, then they release the information to everybody. From what I've been told, like I say, Domain checks a lot of stuff on our bid openings. From what I've been told, you can't submit this stuff incorrectly. So that it might eliminate the need for Domain to be here at the meeting. If we had this open, my thought right now is, say these bids, we probably open them at, or the bid vault would release at say noon on a Thursday or something, and then we could review them in our office And then I could include it in the board packet, so we wouldn't have to wait until 10:30 on the meeting days anymore. We wouldn't have to worry about a bidder not getting here on time. A lot of things they run into is their suppliers are undercutting each other up until the last minute. Well, there's a pickup in the parking lot now. Waiting for a phone call and he'll update his bid and then turn it in. If you recall, a couple of years ago, we had a seal coat bid due on a day when there was really bad weather. And one of the companies called the day before and said, we're not gonna be able to make it. Like, it's made bidder of ours, so we postponed that bid opening. Well, so we got okay bids on that one, but 2 weeks after that, that's when oil prices were going crazy. I know a lot of people rejected their bids, so that almost cost us an extra money there. We got lucky that time. So there's advantages to doing it. Of course, we have to feel comfortable with somebody else holding all the bids, and releasing them to us. But this is like state approved stuff, so I guess I'm probably okay with it. But yeah, it's the way of the future. There's a lot of people doing it, so at some point I'll be back to talk a little bit more. I'll learn more about it, what it costs, whatnot. But it's probably something we're gonna need to do in the future at some point.
Do you know through AMC and also through your statewide engineering group of the number of counties that have adopted this?
I haven't seen any poll results. I know I believe Renville County does it. I think Cottonwood County does it. I think almost does it. I'm not sure. Redwood, either the city or the county does it. I think if I remember right, what this contractor told me is about half or a little better do it now, and that number might be around it a little bit in his favor. But
any estimate of what kind of cost would be incurred to go through this?
A couple of years ago they did a pitch on it, and I don't remember. They said then, but I don't remember what it was. I feel like it might have been like 5,000 by the software, and I don't know if there was an annual fee or not. But
software, of course, was annual.
Of course, yeah. So, yeah, I'll be back to talk about it at some point in the future. But at least now that it's kind of on your radar, if you hear anything about it at any of your meetings, maybe that would spark some interest for you to learn some more from a different perspective that I may not have. So
I would certainly want to get an opinion from the main Sandy as well.
Yeah.
Because obviously, the bid process has to be so transparent that you
right.
can't have any chance of getting any shenanigans, of course. So.
Right. And I know. So if I understand it right, and if my memories are working well, this bid vault or whatever, this company through the state, holds these bids. We don't have them. We can't do anything with them. We don't have them. So, but I think at the time it's open, all the bid numbers go out to everybody. So, so it's not just released to us and we get to distribute later. I think that's transparency. Everybody sees it at once. So. But if and when we get more serious about it, I'll have a lot more information. But now you've heard of it, so like at your meetings, like if you hear anybody talking about it, maybe ask some questions what they think about it. Maybe a lot of different perspectives. So nothing to do right now. It's just putting it on your radar, I guess. Then that's all I had for now. We have 2 bid openings at 10:30. Any other questions for me right now? Otherwise, I'll probably hang around waiting for bids until then. Maybe something later, a week or 2.
Yeah, road and bridge. We talked about road postings. Did you get any more information on that too?
So I just this morning saw a response. I haven't had a chance to read it yet. I did reach out on that. I'll have at our next meeting. I'll have a follow up to hopefully all those items that came up for the bridge hearing.
And just best your memory throughout the years, has the dates that the state set been pretty indicative of what it is here?
What I remember, Nick, I think one time we extended it a week.
I'm with you on that. I don't remember for sure, but I feel like once or twice we've extended it. So I think you're right.
And as far as when they go on, that's probably not quite as critical as when they go off is more important.
Yeah, I would say.
I feel like that's the case, but it'd be interesting to hear from a scientific perspective how they pick their start date. You know, maybe it's more critical than we realize. I don't know. I can't say for sure. So,
Anybody else? Any questions for Nick? Okay, thank you, Nick.
all right,
We'll see you back at 10:30.
see you at 10:30.
Yeah, I see that Bill stepped in the room, so Bill, hold you, come up. Bill is our IT director, so all
Good morning.
Good morning.
Brought a couple of quotes to you today to finish up the purchase of the last couple pieces for the sheriff's department replacement of their laptops. These two are going from the laptop to a tablet. Price is pretty good. We looked at a different model, the G-Tech K120 tablet. We looked at G-Tech a couple of years ago. They seem like they're a pretty good product as well, but the price of the Dell is significant over the price of the G-Tech. So I'm recommending we go with Dell with their Latitude 7330 tablet.
Mr. Chairman,
okay, thank you, Chris. Second. Then discussion. Okay. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? They pass unanimously.
Thank you.
The machine you're replacing, then is there any value left? Those are all probably not.
We'll hang on to them for a little bit. We've got a couple things we're going to do with a few of them, but otherwise they're used up.
Very good. Thank you, Doctor.
Yep.
Okay. We are a little bit ahead of schedule now. So at 9:30, we got Terry Nelson and AJ Woodstock. One more early. Are you guys ready? You can go ahead and continue if you like. You guys are ready? Great. Come on forward. Please. Again, for the public, this is Terry Nelson from Woodstock Communications, and then his associate AJ.
I brought AJ with for if I fail miserably and say something that's incorrect, he will straighten me out on it. So, AJ runs, kind of our whole network, I guess. Basically, he's IT to switching to all that. He's kind of the main controller of it. So I thought it'd be good to have him come with. So I'm just going to tell you, I struggled a little bit trying to, coming today, trying to decide exactly what I was going to talk about. We don't have pricing and stuff from Hometown Fiber yet, but I thought there were some things that I should point out to you guys and things you guys should be asking, that type of stuff. So I didn't want to come here, and I don't want to be the reason the county doesn't get fiber. I don't want to be known as that. But I also think there's some things that, I don't want to also be the reason that this project is put in and some big bombs hit and there's failures in it either. And then, we're tied to it. So today, I wanted to come in and, these are questions I have. These are questions that you guys should probably also have of Hometown Fiber and, that kind of stuff. But one of the questions I had, because I had never heard of these guys before, Hometown Fiber, who are they? In our industry, I'm on the state board for our state, the telecom board. Nobody on our board has ever heard of it until now. Reading about them in the paper here, now I've heard about them in Wilmer. So they're fairly new. Not that that's a horrible thing. It's just, something that you guys need to ask questions and who they are and what they've done. And does the county want to own a network? And is that something you want? Just some things to think about on owning a network and what comes with that. Some other questions: how will the network be built? We have standards on how we build things. I have no idea how they're going to build it. You know, there's cheap ways to build it and there's good ways to build it. And, you know, so that's something that is also going to have to be known. And is there a need for a third party in this? You know, the hometown fiber and Woodstock. It gets more complicated, and I'll go over that. And then probably the biggest question is, you know, how's the county going to pay for it? Is there enough cash there to pay for it? Does the county, you know, do they not care about, you know, funding for it? You know, will the taxes go up? All that kind of stuff. So when I looked up hometown fiber, this is what I saw. It's Morecom Technology Consultants is when you look them up. Their architectural integration of audio, visuals, networks, acoustics, and lighting. That's kind of where they came from. When I see that, my first red flag goes up. Do they know how to run a network? I don't know. Just by looking at that. When I look up to them further, I look into it further. I look up their, you know, their corporate office. It shows a house. Not that that's bad necessarily, but you know, it just throws up a red flag to me. And then some of the things on their website, some things they have told you guys. They're talking about the shared fiber optic networks that we use and that other companies are using. Well, there isn't a company out there that has fiber that doesn't do that. Anybody that tells you different is either lying to you or they don't know what they're talking about. There is no other way to build a network other than to, you know, you need some place to aggregate all the fibers. You can't have a separate dedicated fiber going to the internet for every customer. You get them all back to an office, everything there is congregated together and sent up on a 100 gig uplink. That's how everything is built. So, you know, here they talk about common, fast, cheap build. That's not fast, cheap build. That's how they are built. Every network in the world is built that way. Anybody that comes into the county will build it that way. It's just the fact of how things are built. So when I start seeing that, you know, redo within 10 years, well, we've had fiber in Pipestone County, Lyon County, Murray County for over 10 years. We're not redoing it. It's good for another 20, 30 years. The fiber is good no matter what. It's the electronics on the end that someday will need to be upgraded. So when I asked the question of does the county want to own a network, I'm sure you guys are well aware there's been some epic failures in the state of Minnesota where counties have gotten into fiber. The best known one is Lake County. They spent $48.5 million on a project. There was a lot of problems with the costs weren't correct. The engineering was off. A lot of problems. They sold it for $3.5 million now. So the taxpayers up there got nailed for, I think some's forgiven, but it looks like 25 million the taxpayers are getting hit for on a project like that. And there's been some other ones that have failed too in the county, not as well known as this one, but you know, so there are some risks involved with this too.
Any idea what the root cause was their failure?
You know, I think there was a lot of design failures and how it was built. There was also a lot of estimating that was wrong. You know, so when they jumped into it, there was a estimate of, I don't remember whether it was 30 million or something like that.
Wasn't there a lot of boring through rock?
There was a lot, yeah, there was a lot of that stuff that wasn't in the planning stages.
So cost overruns them.
Yeah, there was a lot of costs that were not estimated at the beginning. So yeah, they sold it for $3.5 million. So they took a $45 million loss on that project. Yeah, the county has fiber, but you know, they're getting what cost is it, you know, is it to the taxpayers?
And they sold it to a different.
Yeah, some private firm bought it. Yep. Some other things with owning, as far as the county owning a fiber network. There's a lot of ongoing costs for plan. It's not a build and leave type thing. Just like roads, you know, it's continual maintenance. You got bridge replacements, you got road moves, all that Cable all needs to be redone, removed. There's cable replacements. The cable goes bad. You got cable repairs and cuts. Frost heaves, pedestals that get damaged, you know, either snow plows right now or farmers or anything. Another huge expense that comes with owning is locating services. We spend probably 50, 60,000 a year just on locating cable.
We do that ourselves with the little bit that we own ourselves.
Sure.
For cable.
Yep. So that would be something that, you know, if you're going to own the network, that you would more likely be responsible. And then anytime there's a new house or, you know, a cable gets cut in the yards or a new building goes up, you know, there's costs with new construction that goes along with it. So just some things to point out there that, you know, it's almost like having a road where you put it in, it's not, you know, it's forever costs going along with it. The construction portion of it, how will it be built? What type of cable? You know, there's armored cable for road-proof cable. There's cable that's not armored proof, and if that gets put in, yeah, you're going to have all sorts of cable cuts in the winter. You'll have frost heaves. You'll have all sorts of things like that. Pedestals, the same way. The green boxes that go in the ditch, the same way. If they're not the good hard metal BD5, we call them, with posts and all that kind of stuff, you know, yeah, you can really put in some cheaper ones and you really paid for it. The fiber box, again, we put inserts in them. They're rodent proof, I guess. And that's where all the fiber is spliced in there. If you get mice into that, you'd have nightmares, which we have seen before. Cable depth is another huge problem if it's not put in the right depths. When they redo roads, redo bridges, anytime they put culverts in, you know, then we're always in the way. You have a lot more maintenance costs if they're not put in correctly. What will their engineering standards be? You know, cable has engineering standards that it needs to be, all that stuff. You know, who's their engineer going to be? What standards do they use? And who will they use for contractors? That's another huge issue. You know, when we do projects, we got 2 or 3 contractors we work with, and that's it. Just because we know what kind of work they do, there's nothing worse than starting a project and having a company come in and make a mess. You want to upset customers, I'm sure you guys know that. There's nothing worse than messing up a customer's lawn, their landscape. And if a contractor comes in and cuts tiles, you know, all that kind of stuff, yeah, you really have a mess on your hands. So those are some more things to consider on a project like this. From our side of things, service concerns, and I did address them a little bit last time, where, you know, if I'm the provider, the customer calls me with complaints. If there's a cable cut or if there's anything, then I need to call Hometown Fiber, and they would have to come out from the cities and fix a cable. I don't know how quick that'll be. I mean, we know it's going to be a few hours for sure because of just drive time. That's not something I feel comfortable with, because, you know, we have people here, we have people that live here, that pass through us all the time. You know, when there's a cut, we're usually on it for kind of half an hour. Other things that concern me, in the paper, I read that they claim, you know, the customers can expect $29 a month for 100 megabit per second speed. I don't think anybody in the world pays $29 for any of that. And if they're basing this whole performa on $29 a month, it ain't gonna work. Because, I mean, for me alone, per customer, that's darn near what I need just to cover my maintenance costs. So what's left for the county to pay the bond back? Nothing. So that's a little unrealistic, I guess, the $29. I mean, we have $39 packages, $49, $59. Most customers expect around a $50 internet bill. That's kind of the going rate. And then another thing that they have posted, the county could own the fiber and lease it to Hometown Fiber for a nominal fee. And then Hometown Fiber would be responsible for operations and maintenance. I don't know what is Hometown Fiber gonna do? That's my, I don't know what they're responsible for. When they say operations, I don't know what that means. Because we're the network provider. So I guess my question is, what would they do for that too?
You are asking a lot of the same questions that we've been thinking. You truly are.
I mean, if they're my customers, I guess I would consider I'm the operator. And maintenance, I guess, that depends on who owns it, unless they're going to come down and take care of every trouble call. I don't know how that would all work, but I guess that's something that needs to be understood. When they say operated, what does that mean? I don't know what that means.
Have you met with them yet?
I've talked to them on the phone a couple times.
I know it. I kind of got the impression the last time they were here, they were going to sit down with you at some point. And
we have not
go over
since then.
Cost and whatever.
No.
Okay.
We have not. They have not reached out to me since that point.
I'm kind of curious how that goes.
Yeah.
Assuming that is to happen.
Yeah, and I've, the 2 times I've talked with them, I have expressed these concerns. I'm trying to do it in a nice way, because if this is the route you guys go, I do want to be the one that, that works with the county.
Well, obviously you understand where we're coming from. We know the importance. It's such a huge thing to get high-speed internet out to all of our citizens, and we've languished getting that done. How long is it going to take to do this? So when we get a proposal like this, it's too good to be true.
It sounds great. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Fiber in the county sounds wonderful.
Yeah. But how do we do it and be responsible?
Yeah.
And some of the areas you pointed out, but and no, I don't think any of us want the county to be in the position of running the utility of any kind. We're starting that business.
Right. Yeah. Just some of the things they've said, it just throws up red flags.
And my background, I was involved with rural electric for years, underground utilities, so I know exactly what you're doing. And you remember the old days when some of the contractors came in back in the 80s and put in rural water. Mm-hmm. Some of the contractors working for rural water were good.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of them are.
Yeah.
So
yeah, there's a huge difference.
You are absolutely right. You have to know who it is you're working with.
Yep. Keep going. Costs. This was something that was in the paper. So I'm just going by that, but it says there's 5,316 addresses in the county. 2,700 of them meet the demand for 3 to 5 years, which I would assume that's the town of Pipestone. With the coax, it seems a little high on number, 2,700 homes. I could be wrong. I usually guess about 2 per establishment, 2 residents per establishment. So, but anyway, yeah, that's got to be the 2,700 homes there. There are 1,700 able to meet the demand for 10 to 15 years, which I think they're talking about us. And then 884, that's the rural that doesn't have fiber. And then there's 32 that are able to meet demand for 20 or more years. And I'm not exactly sure what that would be. If that's the CenturyLink fiber that was put in, I don't know. The issue is, yeah, they put fiber in, but then they have copper beyond that to the house. So I don't understand when they say, differentiating our fiber versus the CenturyLink fiber. That doesn't make sense to me, but because she talks about us as a passive optical network, a PON network, and that's exactly what it is. It's a shared network, but that's how every network is built. They are all PON networks. The only time you don't have that is if you have, you're connecting one building to another building, like here in town. You can have a direct fiber in between there, and that's fine. But you're not going to have a network that's built where it's a dedicated fiber. We have dedicated fiber from our office out to the customer once it gets to the office and it's combined. And that's how everything is done. So just to go over the costs a little bit, and this probably threw up the largest red flag for me right away. A few things on here. The 15 million to build it with an average cost per property of 3,165. The numbers are way low. When we build town, we just completed Edgerton last year. And that was before all the inflation hit, because the cable and everything was bought the previous year. That was around $4,000 a customer per pass. And they're saying 3,100 for the entire county. And rural's a lot more expensive to build than town.
There's the density of.
Yep, just the density. Yeah, you bore more in town, but you have, the dense more of us. Yep. So that part, I really question that number. The 12,000 per rural, that's probably not too far off, 12 to 15 somewhere there per rural customers, about what we figure. It's about 20 to 25,000 a mile to put it in. So if you have a customer, 1 or 2 customers per mile, then you're okay at that. And then they talk about, anticipate that the county could receive grants, and that is a possibility. And I'll go over those here on the next page a little bit. Oh, before I do that, just to give you an idea, we just had Slayton bid, and we're doing town and a few miles around the world of town. There was a grant, and there was 500 urban passings and 50 rural, and that's 7,454 per passing across the board on that town and rural. So that's over double of what they're saying. Town alone, as I put on here, is 4,000 to 5,000 per passing. So our rough estimates on cost with those numbers of 3,583 passings at $7,400 per passing, that's $26 million. Maybe a little high, and I don't quote me on them numbers because we have not designed it. Those are just going by, the numbers that Hometown Fiber had, and what our Slayton project was bid at, and that was the low bid. So some projects come in quite a bit higher than that. So,
Mr. Chairman, so basically it went up $1,000 per passing.
Yeah,
just in 1 year inflation.
Yep. Yeah, cable costs, maintenance costs, costs.
And Slayton probably has a slightly higher density.
Well, I don't know if there's 50 rural.
Yeah, we don't have the rural in it. Edgerton was just town. We just did the town. So grants, border to border. They've had this grant going for quite a few years. We did apply for some rural wireless in Pipestone County 5-6 years ago. That was part of this border to border grant. They just had another round. We were awarded a small grant in Murray County around Lake Chautauqua, Lake Sarah, in that area. There is a round that's open right now. There's $67 million that are available. We are not applying right now because we got too many other projects we're staring at to get that one done. This new project, there is let me back up. The old projects, they were capped at $5 million. That's the max you could get for a grant. So it was hard for a county to go in at that time and apply for a grant because you could only get $5 million. That's not enough to do a whole county. So you had to kind of pick and choose which portions of the county you were going to do, which is tough politically to decide. There is a new portion of the grant coming out in this round. They're calling it the pilot program for low density areas where you could get up to 75% coverage, up to 10 million, but there's 30 million in it. So that will be 3 projects in the county. So we'll see, if that goes well, they will do more of that in the coming rounds. There was just a little more updated. Another thing that I got to point out, challenge process. The state allows, and the federal will allow this too, companies that have service in that area to challenge the projects. And we've had that too, where we've applied for projects. We've had companies challenge us, Frontiers and CenturyLinks. One thing that can hurt a project in Pipestone County is licensed wireless products can challenge and stop the awards. Whether that's right or not, it is part of the challenge process. Midco has licensed wireless in the county. So does Woodstock. We've invested some in licensed wireless. I'm not saying we would try to stop the project. That's not my point. My point is Midco can't. I don't know if they will, but they can. I know there was a couple counties in the area that were going to apply for a different federal program called the Reconnect, and they were stopped because of Midco's wireless. So that is something that can throw up a challenge. And yes, they do prioritize fiber projects, but if there's, you know, it's a competitive process. So if you have a knock on there that there's a wireless provider, you're going to get thrown down to the bottom.
So then apparently they are considering the wireless systems as a viable option.
Absolutely, if they can offer it,
as good.
Right.
But as a stopgap measure, it does serve a purpose.
It does serve a purpose, yes. As long as the wireless product can offer 100 meg. You gotta be able to offer 100 meg, whether it's fiber, wireless, whatever.
And you know, Hometown did this survey. We've done that before too. We've got areas in the county that are underserved, and we've got some that are truly no service.
Yep.
With fiber. How about with wireless? Is there anybody in the county that cannot get a signal of some kind?
I'm guessing yes.
Okay. And that is our big concern.
Yep.
Is making sure everybody's got a fair.
Sure. No, I agree totally. Yeah. You know, we put up some wireless, but when we did it, you know, we know the limitations of the wireless. There's places we can't go.
And you're not portraying that as be all and end all.
Absolutely.
That's a stopgap measure.
Yep, that was kind of our intent when we put the wireless in. Is, you know, we couldn't afford to do fiber at the time to everywhere, so you know we're going to try to do this, see how it works. For the customers that can get it, it's a fairly good service. It's not fiber, we know that, but it's an option for those that can't get it.
And maybe I'm getting the a little bit here. You've got a lot on your big project. Back to 6 years ago when we all put the board. That's kind of got that's what it's out that northeast corner of the county started getting some service.
Yep.
Both fiber and some hybrid wireless. Can you put together any type of a timeline for us to be able to give service, even if it's wireless service, to some of our spotty areas, so at least we can make it improvements?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I can, you know, first we'll have to do like propagation studies to kind of see exactly who could be served now and who can't and what it would take to get that. I'm a little bit hesitant right now to spend a lot of money on wireless just because of all these grants that are coming out for fiber. If we can do fiber and make the fiber work, that is the direction we would rather go. But yeah, I mean, we can definitely look at it, sure.
And yeah, we certainly don't want to squander money on something as a stopgap measure.
Oh, yeah.
But if we don't have a realistic timeline, we have to look at alternatives to it.
Sure.
Because we keep saying we can't wait forever.
No, I get it. Totally.
Do you know of any cases where these, if they make a challenge, are they ever denied?
Yes. Yeah, we've been denied on projects. I know Hometown Fiber. I know they've applied for state grants. And I don't think they've received any. They've been denied.
Mr. Chairman, a goal of serving 100% of our constituents is worthy goal, but it's impractical. Stearns County did their whole county, and they had 50 people that they just could not serve practically. It just cost like $100,000 to get it to them.
Anything's possible, but is it practical?
That's correct.
Good point, Dallas.
The BEAD program is the big one that'll be coming out. We don't know exactly when. This was the Biden administration's program. It's the Broadband Equity Access and Development Program. $42 billion coming out within the next few years. It's going to be spread over multiple years. It's not all at one time. The states are going to be handling it. So Minnesota's in a good position because they already have a great state grant program. A lot of states didn't have it. So each state needs to, it's taking time because each state needs to develop a grant program. They need an Office of Broadband. Then they need to get their, grant applications approved. So it's taking time. We're thinking in 24, 25, it's going to be available. It's going to focus first on unserved areas. We don't know a lot of the rules yet. We hopefully learn them over the next 6 months to a year on exactly how they work. And there again, this is pulled right out of the BEAD program that any service of 100 by 20, whether it's fixed wireless using licensed or a hybrid system, can challenge the grants. So, and like I said, not saying that Woodstock would ever challenge it. That's not my point, but other companies can. So just something to be aware of, that hometown should be aware of too, if they're going to work on the grant applications. That what are the odds of getting it? You spend the money to have them do the whole grant process if it's going to get thrown out anyway.
Mr. Chairman, did you get any feedback from MAST and Edgerton?
No, that Edgerton was not a grant.
No, you were.
That was our own investment.
So they can't challenge you when you're not using grants.
Right. It's our own dollars. They cannot stop us. So
another thing too that Hometown Fiber talked about, you talked about the city of Pipestone, that right now we're underserved, so they can come in and provide services.
Well, they can provide, but they cannot get a grant.
Yeah.
Anybody can come in and provide. We can too. Anybody can.
But part of their proposal was every resident's getting 6 nights of home.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had 2 proposals. One was to do the entire county. One was to do just rural.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're hoping the city of Pipestone will cash flow the rest.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and we've already got 2 other providers here. They'd be the 3rd provider.
There's 3 in town.
There, let's say.
Yeah. So.
But the prices they suggested were attractive based on what we're currently being charged.
Yeah, the $30 would be very attractive. Whether you can make that cash flow or not is another question. And this is something I just threw together, so you'll have to follow me along. But the first side, we got urban passings of 2,700 in the yellow there, rural passings of 884. So we got a total of 3,584 in the county that do not have fiber right now. That's according to their numbers, I guess. I'm just using theirs. Hometown's fiber estimate. Their estimated cost of $15,779 million, grants potential of $8 million, which I would agree. So the remaining amount for to bond is $7.7 million. So go down to my estimates, and like I said, these are very, very rough estimates, but I'm just going by what Slayton numbers were. Estimate cost of $26 million, potential grants of $11 million. We could get more of a grant because I'm estimating the rural is going to cost more than what they're saying. So we get 75% of the rural covered under a grant. Remaining amount of bond is $14 million. So when you look at the difference there in bonding, that's double the cost. Yeah. So then looking at the bond payback in the middle row, and I don't know, the last time I had looked, bonds were around 4.5%. In 15 years, you're looking monthly of $59,000, annual payment of $712,000 using 4.5%. I have no idea if that's what it is today. Bond payback, if you look at our estimated costs, you're looking at $113,000 monthly with an annual payment of $1.3 million. So then just go over on the revenue side, the last column there. I figured 60% of the customers would take broadband. Just, you know, in town, you got 3 other providers, so you're not gonna get them all there. And that's a lot of times what we base our numbers on is 60%. And we also use an ARPU, average revenue per user, of $60. That's a pretty good number that, you know, we've used. So that's $129,000. If every one of the customers were mine and I billed them $60, we'd bring in $129,000 revenue, which would be $1.5 million worth of revenue a year. So if down to the next column, average revenue per user is $60, I need $20 to $25 for maintenance, billing, overhead, all that kind of stuff. I need to make a little money of $10. At least the hometown fiber is, I don't know how much, we haven't talked about that yet, but if they're going to be in charge of operations and maintenance, I'm sure they'll want $10 a customer. That leaves $20 to come back to the county. That doesn't pay the loan back, I guess is my concern. So yeah, if you took $20 clear for the county, like I say, that's not enough. So a couple takeaways. One thing I like pointing out is every project that we've been involved in, we've had our own capital invested. You know, every project, you know, like Edgerton's been 100% of their own. Some of the county projects we have worked with, like this grant in Slayton, that's a state grant, you know, so there we're getting a portion of it come from the state, but the rest is our own dollars. You know, when we do projects, we take care of the studies, we take care of the grant writing, we take care of the design, the engineering, the permitting. That's all our own costs. One of my concerns is, what if the project is estimated at 15 million and it comes in at 20 to 25 million? Where does the rest of that come from? You know, in the county. One of my concerns is hometown fiber has no skin in the game. Every project we've done has been our own dollars. You know, so if it fails, who's responsible? Is hometown fiber at all responsible for it?
You know, we're going further as well too, Terry. And bring up the point, and we know it, but for the rest of the public as well too. Who is Woodstock Telephone? Can you, in a nutshell, give us the elevator speech? It's a family-run company.
It's family-owned company. It started by my grandpa in the town of Woodstock. Yeah. Over the years, he purchased, you know, the exchanges, and exchanges like it's got boundaries, almost like a school district. You got the town and the rural that goes around. They're not all the same size, of course, but he purchased that one in the 40s, the Woodstock. Over the next few years, they purchased Holland, Rupton, Garvin, and Russell. Those are the 5 traditional telephone exchangers that were owned. Now his son, Kenny Knuth, and their family own it. So it's still 100% privately owned, family-owned company. And I'm the general manager. Over the last 5 years, we've expanded to multiple towns. We've overbuilt Westbrook, Ballatin, Tyler, Lind, Chandler, Edgerton. We've added around 1,300 wireless, something like that. 1,300 wireless customers between Pipestone County, Murray County, Lincoln County, and Lyon County. So I think we're up around 3,600 customers now. We've gone from 900 customers up to 3,600. That's right.
And to this day, you're still family owned. You haven't changed your name 20 times.
No, we've gone from Woodstock Telephone to Woodstock Communications.
That's right. So it's the same thing. Yeah.
That's the big change we've done. We've been in Rupton since '59, I think. But yeah, it's been the same owner. So
you've got, as you said, you've got skin in the game here.
Yeah, you know, every project we've done, we have our own skin in the game, so we have to make sure it works. And, you know, that's our job to make a project work. I've had a lot of talks with some other counties too, and you know, they keep saying, well, why don't you just do it? It's like, as a private business, I can't. I have to make it work financially. So yeah, I guess that's, you know, when I hear companies come in and they're proposing these things, and you know, some of their numbers aren't right and they have no skin in the game, that throws up a red flag to be friendly. Not saying that they're not truthful. I'm not saying that. It's just when you have your own skin in the game, you know, you have to make it work. And if if prices aren't right, if numbers aren't right, well, you know, it just comes back on the county.
With this news that we hear nationally all the time about the Inflation Reduction Act, all this money is going into broadband. So we certainly believe that there's going to be more money coming our way to do this in the future. When and how much, we don't know.
Yeah.
And yes, like I said, you have to be able to make this pay. You have to make sure that this is going to cash flow for you. So what is there a possibility where we can, just like we helped a little bit with your border grant?
Yeah,
they're going to be getting having money in that. I don't think if I remember right.
Yeah, it was more support, legislative support.
Are there more scenarios where we continue to work together?
Yeah, you know, it's going to depend on the rules of this grant that's coming out, the BEAD program. There's a lot of dollars there. We think there's going to be 600 million or so over a few years coming to Minnesota. That's, you know, that's a lot of dollars, but that also brings in a lot of players to the game too when you get that. But yeah, I mean, you know, if the grant program finally comes out, they come out with the rules, we're going to definitely keep an eye on it, you know, and if something comes up, yeah, absolutely, we would see if there's a way we can make it. And I'm not saying I won't work with Hometown Fiber if you guys go right out. I'm just bringing up some points that I think you guys need to consider.
But again, in the past 6 years, you've been able to cover about a third of the county.
Yeah. Yep. You know, actually, our fiber that was put in, that was probably put in even before that. The Woodstock and Holland, they had put in 2008, 10, somewhere there. So yeah, that's been in a while. And you know, I think we're serving about 200 more wireless in the county. So, and we've looked at what we're building on Pipestone ourselves. It's a big bite for us. We're a large company by any means. So we did Edgerton. That was, you know, we graduated from Rutland to Tyler, you know, that size of town, and now we're doing Slayton, which is twice the size of Edgerton, twice the size of Slayton. So we keep graduating up. That's a lot of dollars for us to fill out too. So yeah, I guess my last 2 points there, and you know, I don't want to put Hometown Fiber down necessarily, but I don't know if they've ever managed a network like this. I don't think they've ever built a network like this. You know, maybe they bring in some good people to do it. That could very well be, but their history, they haven't done it, and that concerns me on the design. And then, you know, we just feel if they're going to be Woodstock's customers, if we're going to be the ones that take the calls, that manage it all, or you know, manage the customer end and whatever, it needs to be a part of our design, our management, and our network. It's just tough to use somebody else's network to go to you know, to deliver a quality service that we expect and that our customers expect over somebody else's network.
Thank you, Jerry. AJ, you're very quiet.
I mustn't have screwed up too bad. You didn't have to correct me right now.
No, I truly appreciate your information. I like it all. And this is a huge decision for us. We realize it is. And we need as much information and to make an informed decision. So.
And like I said earlier, if you guys do decide to go the route of hometown fiber, we want to be the ones that, you know, that work with the county and with the. We don't want to let a competitor. You know, so.
Well, thank you for your interest, for your commitment. We certainly want to continue this dialogue with you as we go forward with this and figure out where we're at, where we're going.
Be interesting to get an update once you talk to them.
Yeah, and I, you know, interested too to see what they get for numbers on, you know, their next design.
And again, you know, put some thought into other stopgap measures that we can do to try to serve some of our underserved or non-served residents now.
Yeah, and as far as grants do, when we hear more on the BEAD program, that type of stuff, we'll definitely keep you updated on that stuff too.
Very good. Anybody else?
Any questions?
Perry, would you share your PowerPoint with me?
Yeah.
Just email it to me and I'll get a copy to the commissioners so they can digest it a little more.
Yep. Jill wants to be on that. Let's
got it. Absolutely.
Very good.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. How we manage this, everybody excited. 10 o'clock.
Good planning, I guess.
That's right. Next then is Amanda Sandy, our audit director. She's got some information for us. We did scratch the judicial ditch discussion. So
that's good. All right. So after it was perfect timing with the home abatement application approval because we did get one in. So I brought that information to you guys to review, and we want to go through this on public hearing. So Lloyd's Worth has put an application in for lot 8 down in the city of Edgerton, and I said I provided you some of the information for the plans and that sort of thing. So I guess if you have any questions on that.
our next regular meeting is April.
Is that just putting that in the mailbox?
No, I don't know what's that. I thought I know I printed it out.
What was that?
We need a public hearing for this.
Yes, we will.
And our next regular meeting is the 11th. Would that work for you?
So yeah, the plan would be to do on the 11th, but I think.
Amanda, I don't have that. Can I?
I
have that?
I should have sent you. Maybe wait.
Second that.
Because I have it all. It's
Public hearing.
In
one
discussion,
PDF, and it's all one PDF.
let's refer to Steve for discussion for the public hearing. We're going to set it for the 11th. What time do you want to shoot for 10 o'clock?
10 a.m.
Okay, good enough. Okay,
Yeah, let me get a copy of it.
Final 10 o'clock for your seconds. Okay. Okay. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, then all in favor of setting the public hearing for the home abatement for April 11th at 10 o'clock. Aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously.
All right. So then the other item that I wanted to discuss. So you know,
we wait for Steve. I don't. We're not in a big rush.
Yeah, so that's good. I think he was going to just copy for you guys the public hearing. That'll go in the paper.
That was lot number 8.
Yeah, yep, he took mine. But yeah, it's that area he's been kind of building in. Yeah, side there. Right.
Was that officially of the name?
Northwest First Division.
Northwest First. Thank you. I've heard it referred to as other.
Yeah.
You're being recorded. Too.
I know.
Okay, Steve, we did take action on the public hearings for 61 minutes. So okay,
All right.
Chris and Dallas.
So, and just follow up, I'll probably be coming again because I did just get another application in. So we will, once we have that information from the assessors and that sort of thing, we'll come back with that.
Good.
So the other issue that I had is, you know, each month in the financial information on the investments, in the general fund, we have 3 different investments, so to say. 2 of them are CDs and one of them is some money in the magic. And it's specifically, they're earmarked for capital improvements, park and work comp. But they're all really small dollar amounts. So I kind of wanted to follow up with you guys to see if we wanted to actually still keep them. Capital improvements is $14,000, park is $20,000, and workman's comp is $10,000. And kind of done a little bit of research. And with that park, Steve actually had found way back in like late 60s, they kind of were like allocating an amount each year for park improvements.
And this is the Veterans Park north of town, right?
So it was just called the County Park Fund when back in that day. My understanding is, I think that they probably built it up, and then I think Steve Weeds, I talked to him a little bit, and he said that he thinks that some of the funds that were in there went for Veterans Park, maybe putting, did they have a bathroom or something? Or
They did it one time.
Built a shelter, they,
Tore them down because of vandalism.
sure. So
the
I
shelter
think
got
that
built and then
that's,
they had, there was a well out there and that had to be sealed because it became contaminated. So that's gone. So I presume the money came out of that at one time back in the day.
yeah, I think it's kind of, again, we didn't look back at the whole history on the ups and the downs, but I believe that obviously it was being used and they were putting money in. But lately we haven't been putting any funds in. It's just been sitting in a CD. That's one that's $20,000. And so I guess I just wanted to bring it up and say, do we want to keep having a separate CD or funds for that? I know that usually we're taking care of those items. I don't know if you want to have, I prefer to not have such small CDs if we can avoid it.
Again, when Steve did some research on that, he found some information out on those.
Yeah, we don't have to keep this at all. We have a budget of its own for the park right now. So there's really no need. It's paid out of general revenue and this is just sitting there doing nothing, you know.
And if I understand correctly,
just move it to general revenue.
To the county, we have to keep the park, but we don't have to have a separate fund for it.
Yeah, and this is just
Yeah,
in the
the
general
park can't
fund.
go anywhere.
Yeah.
No, so we still have to maintain that. That goes back to a state of Minnesota agreement years and years ago on that. And if we were to want to not have that park anywhere, we'd have to find another place to put it. That's part of the agreement. So.
Yes, we recently have had, yes.
Mr. Chairman, would this money be available to spend on like a veterans park? Veterans are looking for a place.
The memorial.
Is that a good use of that money or is that improper use of that money?
That's up to the board. That money's just sitting there. It would go back into revenue is where it would end up going, I'm sure.
And I do sit on that committee, and there is some action taking place on that. Getting a little momentum again. So
You know, we talk about we can't, if we should just donate money to something like the senior center or things like that. But if we have park money designated, is that possible to donate to?
good point. Yeah,
You can.
I'm going to check the lawyer, I guess.
Ask me tonight. And as far as the existing one we got north of town, then are there some? We've got a volunteer group that's done some improvements for us out there, which is very nice. Are there other things in the future that we might want to be doing there? Like again, we'd love to get restrooms there again, But again, with the vandalism issue, that's just it's such an easy target.
I would not recommend putting bathrooms in back up there.
Yeah, I guess you think about
One other thing, you could put a chemical, outhouse there during the summertime if you wanted to, and then have that routinely pumped if you wanted to do that. But I don't know if you're hearing any requests for bathroom there. I'm not. It's a wayside rest. You're 2 miles away from a Casey's or whatever to use a bathroom, that type of thing. I think it sets up for more problems than it is for benefit.
we've got, spends a whole day there.
No.
I don't think anybody even really goes there specifically picnic. Like I said,
No, it's just somebody just stopping.
You see people there.
Yeah, it's used.
But as a wayside. But not
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Well, I mean, if it was there, they may use it, but they are close to town.
Mhm.
And the only really monthly expense we got there right now is the electric bill for the light. Right? That's
Mowing, yeah, mowing.
I think I thought the mowing was being done with volunteers.
Yeah, Tim Cotman's doing the mowing on that, picking up the trees and the limbs and things like that. They've kind of taken over that. So we pay for the light that's out there. We bought picnic tables for it over the years, that type of thing. So there's not a whole lot of expense out there at this time.
But no, I like your thought, Dallas. That what could we do with those funds other than just putting it back in general?
She doesn't like small CDs.
Well, no, and actually it's coming due. So if you guys want to still keep it designated or assigned, so to say, for park, I can do that. I'm probably just gonna, as that CD, because it renews here this in April, I'm just gonna put it in with the magic funds, but I can keep, we'll just keep it that part of it is for parks.
Are those all separate CDs, those three things?
So one is in magic, and then park is a CD, and then work comp is a CD for 10,000.
Just those three combined in the one CD.
So yeah, like I said, I'd probably just move it in magic because their rates are really good right now. And so we just put it in that, and I can still keep them separate if you'd like, but at this point, they've kind of just been sitting there and not being used for anything, but it sounds like you may have a purpose. So in mind.
And Doug, this magic fund, that's liquid we can draw out there anytime. So yes.
The work comp and capital improvement, that really could just go back into the general fund because we routinely budget for those things. I don't see any purpose of having a separate 10,000 or whatever.
Right.
But,
And are those coming due or coming turn soon also?
Yeah, so the capital improvements we already just have in magic. It's just some good funds. You guys may know more than me on the history on that. My understanding is that used to be a separate fund. We had a capital improvement fund. And then when they kind of cleaned up funds, like certain funds just weren't needed to be separate funds. So that capital improvements got put in with the general fund, but yet we just kind of kept a little bit of that money separate. So the interest on that has been going into capital improvements. We have an assigned fund balance for capital improvements. And it was around 208,000, 209,000. So we kind of have that assigned fund balance. So it kind of creates into another area, like, do we kind of want to keep, and the only thing going in there is this small amount of interest that's getting added. So that can be, again, another discussion later, but at this point, I just want you guys to know that there is that money sitting there to be used. And
You said his name too many times.
Yeah, I think so. Welcome to Maine. So Amanda, do you have a specific recommendation at this point for us to take action on? Would you like to have a motion in the sense of combining or not renewing the work comp and the capital improvements and just going ahead and absorbing those into the general fund? Is that what I'm hearing?
yeah, yep. I guess what I will plan to do is, I was planning on doing it anyway. I mean, we can keep them separate, but I'm going to put them all in magic just because of rates as they come due. But the workman's comp, I don't think there's any need to have that as a separate and to keep track of that separately anymore. I think that from my research, it was from long, long ago, and none of us even know why it was done to begin with. The capital improvements, again, you know, we can keep that assigned fund balance sitting there, and then you guys can determine if you want to keep an assigned amount. Assigned amounts are just what you guys want to earmark for certain things. But again,
14,000 for capital improvement.
Yeah, it's just going that whatever interest gets is just going into that.
That 200,000 is a significant amount. You know, if we do plan a capital improvement, we can tell people we got 200,000 earmarked for this already.
And we can leave that assigned fund balance in there. So like it's just a matter though, if you want to keep that 14,000 separate and whatever earnings are on that 14,000 go into that assigned fund balance, or if you just want that to go into general for the interest earnings.
I would like to keep it separate. Work for you, I'm sorry.
Can you put that in the form of a motion? We can act on it, take some action. We got the verbiage that we need for this.
I'll make the motion that we assimilate workman's comp into the general and keep the other two separate.
Okay, then is there a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Moved and seconded. Further discussion. Okay. And then again, going forward with the park, we'll see where we go with that Veterans Memorial. Perhaps it's something down the road. Okay.
Yeah. Say we can follow up on that one.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Clarification. We like clarification.
Okay, that is all I have.
Thanks, Amanda.
Okay. Wayne, you plant operations director is next on the list here. Right on time, 10:15.
Yeah. Hey, we got a bid for updating our bats.
That was included in our pack. Yeah. So apparently
Need a copy?
Would you give us some background on this? Then we'll have more bad issues apparently.
Yeah, we still do have bats, but we've never gotten rid of them, right? But it's gone down since the school's been gone.
Right. And now with the new roof that was put on there, there's still areas that needs attention again.
Yep, there's still areas yet.
Chairman, the bats are still getting in. We still have an issue with them. It's far less than it used to be, like Wayne said. Last time we had bat remediation done was back in 2015. And we can't prove it, but we think the amount of bats are down because Central School is not there anymore. But there are still areas on the 3rd floor that have bat droppings and gets on top of books. It's going to be an ongoing thing.
Say it's like any other rodent control again.
Right. So, and unfortunately, bats do bring disease and that type of thing. So we have to do our diligence and see if we can try to remediate as best we can, and have a company come in and see if they can find areas, plug areas, that type of thing is what they do. They'll bring in equipment, so it's set on the scope of practice. Back in 2015, you spent $30,000 on it, and the company never came back.
They were back.
They went back once. I think then they changed their name too, went to another.
At that time, when they're guaranteed
10 year. Or 10 year.
Yeah.
and they can't give them that honor.
Well,
They're not a company.
Yeah.
I think they switched their name.
Yeah.
What's the guarantee with this new quote?
Yeah. No, they will not warranty it because they can't get underneath the roof that we put on with the slate type shingles. The old company, the old company went, as soon as we put a new roof on the building, it voided the warranty. So.
And then now the warranty with this new quote, what is that?
There is no warranty.
No warranty?
No.
Mr. Chair. I still feel bad about the fact that we spent that much money doing it back in 2015, and I guess, how much is the lift rental? You know?
I can't tell you that. I don't know what the lift
Maybe
rental is.
I'll make a big deal about that, but I'm guessing it's a heck of a lot less than 23 grand. And to me, this just seems like a waste of money. There's, for how few incidents we have, I guess, just looking at the pictures and whatnot, and the fact that, you know, I'm guessing you can rent a lift for what, under 1,000. You know, when I look at these little screen things that they're going to put on, minimal cost, it seems like a lot of money for somebody that's going to come in one day and get $20-some thousand. I guess I wouldn't be in favor of that.
The fact there's no warranty, that really bothers me. They come and find a hole or two and plug them and put these mitigation things in. And then next week there's bats.
And they say, oh, well,
You know, yeah.
yeah.
Some different. It's a worth a try.
So then move your thought process about like that perhaps it's something we can do ourselves. That would truly
Maybe.
Wayne,
I mean, you know, obviously.
But wait a minute, we're not, no one here is trained to go up and start remediating holes for bats and things like that. That's not in the cards here. I mean, you're trying to pay a company that knows the critters, know how they get in, they know where they get in, and try to plug holes. That's what they do. I understand it's expensive. We also have 40-foot lift. You need to get up on the side of the building to get up to the top too. You know, but I would not recommend that we have our own staff try to remediate bats. I mean, that's beyond the scope of what we do here. We clean up after the bats. We try to get the bats that we trap and get them out and relocate them. And we clean up the bat droppings that they do. That's the issue we have here.
Do we know how many have we had recently?
I'm guessing we're getting what? Right now they're sleeping.
Yeah.
Okay, so they will be waking up soon. So if you want, we'll get bat counts for you and come back and let you know. But you know, sometime we need to do this again because their bat droppings are getting on the court records up on the 3rd floor. It's not a sanitary condition, and to try to remediate them is what you do. I understand it's expensive, but we don't have this knowledge, the skills, the equipment to go and do it ourselves. And that's why you hire the companies, and that's why they did provide a scope of what they were going to do with the work. You know, so it's a tall lift. This is really the same type of lifts they used when we had MLC come and re-roof the whole building several years ago. I mean, our building is not easy to get around in when you're going around the outside to try to find where critters get in. So
This is up in that main two. What's in there?
this is, they're getting into the 3rd floor, but they also get into the main floor as well and fly around. They come downstairs. Yeah, clock tower, everything. So
I mean, if we are going to do this, at least we should find a company where there's some kind of warranty or guarantee that whatever they do is going to be, you know, have some lasting effect. Because for them to just come and, you know, if it doesn't work out and they just can walk away and say, oh, well, I mean, you're out 20 grand, that doesn't make sense to me.
because this would be the 3rd company. We've already dealt with 2 other bat companies.
Just the one. Just the one. Because I know.
Yeah, second.
Even if it's a 60 or 90 day warranty, I don't really care for the fact there's no warranty. That's tough.
Do we have any history at all on this particular company? Any recommendations? And then again, it's so, as we know, it's so difficult to get any contract to do anything. But you don't want to kick the can down the road here. Do we have an alternative? There's got to be a better choice of it.
well, go ahead and table it. We'll investigate further. That's fine.
I would like to know what later date they're going to come back and remove the exclusion system and fix that hole. That should be spelled out a little bit. Because then they have to come back and lift all that stuff again too. So at least 2 trips.
Right.
And maybe with some investigating, maybe we can get a better feel for this company right now and get these nailed down.
When you can't just come and close all the openings and fill them all.
No, their intention is to put those and then they leave. and then they don't come back in.
How
But
long do they wait? Will they?
that I can't answer, I'm sorry.
I would like. A firmer answer on.
Any ideas, Wayne? Any options? Back to the drawing board?
Yep, yeah, there's. I don't know what to say about them, you know.
Yeah, I guess if we can get more details from this company and explore other companies as well. And maybe come back and see.
And I don't think we're alone in this problem. I hear this all the time. Baths are just a huge issue.
We did the church, Presbyterian Church of Blackover. We did that at the same time. The courthouse did it last time, and we have asked.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess at this time, procedurally, we don't have a motion on the floor.
No action.
Nope. It's just no action at this point. We have to try to find some other information.
I just got an update on VAV boxes. They're looking for shipping date 12th of April.
Great.
So
one of them.
Yeah.
And also while you're here, updates on Mark Riddle construction.
Walls are going in and the framing windows.
Yeah, right now. And if you guys knew or not, but we rented a container out there just to keep materials and everything. So did you get the rest of that first job here? You work on that?
I'm gonna be probably Saturday.
Okay.
Highway department's coming down.
To help store that stuff, give Mark Riddle some more work help just making progress. Finally.
Yep.
What carpet is so far?
They're in the auditor's office right now. And they're finishing up some work down here, like the back steps. And then they'll have an auditor's office done this week and probably get into the treasurer's office this week. Then they got assessors and then Kathy's office. After that.
And then before you go, we added the general payments R&R. So if you got anything to say about that, you stick around because we'll get to that.
Yep.
Anything else, Wayne?
No, that's nothing. Wayne doesn't have to stick around for that. It's just, we're gonna just approve paying them on an auditor's warrant, so.
They did a good job. I think they did an excellent job. So,
Yeah.
Yep. Yes.
So that's all done then?
Up there, yes.
Mhm.
Yep.
Carpet's in, paint's done.
Awesome.
Not very long, was it? Less than a week, I think. Yeah, once we got going on it.
And then Wayne and Candy helped move to the benches and stuff.
Yep, all the pews out. Yep.
Did they use a regular steel scaffolding?
Yes, new scaffolding. And then we're able to spray it.
Right. I like the accent trim work they did to the color palette, was really nice. Turned out nice. Okay, we got a couple minutes yet before our bid opening. In the meantime, were there any personnel matters about that?
Morning, I handed out form with all of the personnel announcements, and there are a couple action items here as well. First announcement is Samantha Altschager started last week as a full-time dispatcher. She started on March 20th and replaces Brandy Olson, who left in February. So we are back to full-time staff with her. And then my next announcement, and I actually called out the wrong person on here. I've already announced that Alan Patel was hired earlier in March. It's actually Josh Koyman that started last week on March 21st as a full-time highway maintenance worker. So Josh Koyman, K-O-O-I-M-A-N. Junior appraiser Kim Murphy has resigned effective March 31st. So I do need the board to formally accept her resignation.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, thank you, Alice. We moved and seconded and to accept the resignation of Kim Murphy. Any further question, discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. And then the final thing I have is the county engineer appointment agreement. Per Minnesota statute, the board does appoint a county engineer every 4 years, and the statute is listed there. Nick's appointment does expire April 30th, so this employment agreement will go into effect May 1st of 2023. The board or the personnel committee did look at some comparable salaries in the area and recommends the base salary listed here in the agreement, along with cost of living adjustments to match the other non-union staff, in addition to a 1% to ensure that his salary does not fall behind. And it did fall behind in the last 4-year agreement. So the rest of the language in the contract is basically the same as prior contracts, other than the salary increases and the dates. So May 2023 through April 2027, this would go into effect.
Very good.
Mr. Chair, I move for approval.
Thank you. Second to approve Nick for another 4-year extension on the contract. I see Nick is here. He's busy right now. Nick, we want to thank you. We're going to renew your 4-year contract.
Oh, sorry, I'm a little busy there.
Has it been, how long has it been since Dave left, since you took over?
5 years.
It's been
I had
5
one
years.
and then a 4, so it's been 5 years. But yeah, I love working here. Really appreciate another, shot at 4 more years. So
Well, I think,
thank you very much.
Yeah.
it might be a tight note, but I think we'll keep you here.
Oh, good.
It's been moved and seconded, all in favor for 4-year extension. Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? How about that, Nick? Pass it
How about
unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
And we're ready for a bid opening, Nick, if we're ready. If not, we can build on something else to get you ready.
Yeah, I'm good to go. I just need to sort them out here.
For verified bids.
Did all of the companies listed on these bid tabs actually get materials to bid?
Yeah, yes, that's how you get on here. It's like getting the packet. So everybody on here had the full bid packet.
That's quite a few.
Yeah, the gravel crushing, we usually get a lot.
I don't recall it ever being this many though.
Probably not. I've heard that our bid is really good.
Yeah.
So it must be pretty easy to crush out of there. I don't know if that's why we have so many bidders, because it's a desirable work, or I'm not sure on that, but never had
Good
anybody
grab.
tell us.
It's so easy. Yeah. Yeah.
We'll do the crushing first. That'll be the simplest to review. So. Thank you for your patience. It's spread through this way. That's like saying
We can move on to something else.
no, okay, got it. All right. Yep, should be good to go. So, all right, we have 2 bid openings today. The first one I'm going to open is for our 2023 gravel crushing. Second one would be for our second box culvert contract for the year. So, before I open these, I would like to throw out there that I have not seen a gravel crushing bid opening yet this year. So we've seen a lot of increases in other prices, and I don't know what to expect on gravel crushing. I'm sure their cost of doing business has gone way up too. So, you know, we put some inflation on it, but you know, if we miss on our estimate, you know, everybody else is consistently whatever, you know, that tells me that our estimate's just off. So, you know, I don't really have any info to base our estimate on, like normal.
I also see we had a couple of visitors step into the room, certainly welcome. I'm assuming you're various contractors.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
and there's bid tab forms back there if you'd like to help yourself.
well, very good. Welcome and thank you for bidding.
Then that second opening, the culvert project, you know, I feel like we probably got a fairly good idea where the culverts are going to come in at, but we've been hearing recently that some of the other materials have started shooting up too now. So our estimate, you know, is based on that other bid opening we had earlier. It's possible that, you know, we might be low on that too if those other supporting materials are going up too, but we'll take a look at the bids right after the opening. So, but I just wanted to say that up front at a time. So, so you know what might happen, I guess. So that being said, first bid is from Ferguson. This is for the gravel crushing now. Out of Alexandria, Minnesota. Their bid $187,600. $187,600.
And the bid specs were how many yards or tons? Yards.
40,000 yards, 56,000 tons. Second bid is WMD Saponiak out of Holdingford, Minnesota. Their bid $109,200. $109,200. Next bid, R.A. Mickey Sand and Gravel out of Slayton. Their bid $121,520. $121,520. All right, next bid, Central Specialties Incorporated out of Alexandria. All right, Central Specialties bid. $197,680. $197,680. Next bid, Rogie Excavating. Out of Ghent. Okay. Bid from Rogie, $95,200. $95,200. And the last bid, Sweetman Sand and Gravel, Curry. All right, their bid, $105,280. $105,280.
What was the estimate?
Yep. Estimate we had was, based on our guesses of their increased cost, but with, without the supporting info that we'd like, but our estimate was $126,000. That work.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, you want to take a minute to double check some of that stuff?
Yep.
That's quite a difference from high to low. I'm quite surprised.
Yeah. It's, I suppose it's less mobilization costs for the local guys. So I'm not saying anything bad about the high bids, that's what it costs them or what they need to do to get work. So
Have you got any work experience at all with Rogie?
no,
Yeah.
no, never worked with them before. So yeah, we'll after the means review, we'll check the bids out.
Sure.
But we could probably open box culvert bids first.
Yeah.
Try to keep things along.
And just note on Sweetman's bond documents, it didn't appear to the notary signature page. Otherwise, everybody else is good.
Okay.
It's missed a page on the application.
Okay. Well, they weren't low anyway, but we'll review. We've worked with Sweetman before, so I don't. If for some reason the numbers checked out, maybe we did a second low. We could look at that, but it doesn't appear they're a little bit anyway. So
Probably just got a page with
right, and everything's gone well with them in the past, so yeah, I wouldn't be too worried about that. I mean, I'd be willing to possibly look into waiving that for something they're experienced with. They're not low anyway, so. So moving on to the culvert opening. First bid is from Town and Country Excavating out of Garvin. Six, I think. Yep. Yep, kind of in that northwestern-ish part of the county again. All right, Town and Country Excavating. There. $1,430,564.36. $1,430,564.36. Oh, sorry, next bid is Midwest Contracting out of March. Midwest bid is $1,405,667.80. $1,405,667.80. This bid is from B&C Excavating out of Marshall. Bid from A&C, it's $1,306,829.80. $1,306,829.80. And the last bid is from R&G Construction out of Marshall. R&G's bid, $1,413,106.80. $1,413,106.80. Engineer's estimate for that project. $1,582,501.50. $1,582,501.50. Perfect. So with that being said, if we could have a few minutes to review that.
That'd be fine.
We feel that's that, so.
We can have one other small item we can take care of.
Thank you. Perfect. Steve, can we use your outfit?
Sure. You bet.
Perfect.
Well, see the other one. Supported.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I do that. Yeah, I do that. That's right. Yeah, I do that.
I don't know how to do much.
Okay, while we wait for Nick and the main to double check a few things on that, let's move on. The last item that we got, that was one we added, and that is the invoice them so we can pay R&R for the ceiling in the courthouse and in the courtroom.
Correct.
For moving auditor work, so yes, the girl make that motion that they are in our pension auditor work.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Moved and is there a second? Second.
Thank you.
And then a discussion. So the reason we weren't able to do this right away is they didn't have a particular, they got their tax ID number, they didn't have something else that they needed.
So IC 134 form that has to have their tax ID number on it. The number we received actually had a wrong digit in it. So when it was submitted to them, it sat there and Ryan contacted them and they didn't do anything with it because, oh, your number's wrong. They didn't bother to tell anybody. So they've been waiting. So they've got the number corrected, send it in for them, help them out that way. So the idea, as soon as that report comes back, it'll come back to the auditor's office here and we can issue payment by auditor's warrant so he can get paid because he's sitting on a lot of outstanding funds right now that he's got in this project.
So everything with this tax ID number and this form is all copacetic. It's just we're expediting this now.
Yes. Yeah, as soon as we get the form back, we'll expedite his payment.
Very good. Moved and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Passage unanimous.
Thank you.
And again, thank you to Ryan and Rachel. They did a great job. Another one of those projects that we worked on for years. Something put a bit in place. That's more, even better. Should we take a brief recess then while we're waiting?
Good idea. Okay.
Okay, very good. Welcome back. It's 11:13. We're out of recess now. Nick Bergman had a chance to review the bids and you're ready to make a suggestion to us.
Yep. Rogie Excavating is new to us. We've never had them before, but their numbers checked out. So, you know, in accordance with past practice, you know, I guess we would recommend a little bid, or we'd recommend going with that based on the bid. But I can't say based on quality or anything because we've never had that before.
And again, gravel crushing is a good place to get to learn a new contract.
Yeah. So. Yep. And you know, they'd have to follow the same spec as anybody else, which we've been told is not hard to do in our bid. So
what's the qualification process for them to even submit a bid? Is there any licensing requirement for them, or how does that work? Or could just anybody say, well, I'll throw in a bid?
I suppose you got to be able to access the equipment.
Yeah, you'd have to have the $1 million worth of equipment or whatever it costs, you know. Maybe it's not that bad, but well, we have a bond from them, so if they can't come through on that.
Good point. The bond is our,
yeah.
You get copies of insurance from them and everything too.
Yes, we will, after this, we will email them the contract forms and they'll have to return those signed with their insurance.
Okay, perfect.
And then we make a copy of what we had in our proposal for an insurance requirement. And then we submit all that to Domain. And he'll, actually, I think they come up here first for signatures. I think you have to sign that, if I remember right.
Yeah, you send.
Is there a date and they have to have it done by?
Yes, but I sent all that with Jared. I can't remember what it is. We cut off our gravel hauling last year to leave enough for spring flooding.
Yeah.
Then we have some of that screen gravel left too. The flooding's really bad. Washes out a large section of road. We put that down first and we'll top it off with the good gravel. So we have enough to at least get started for the year. I can't remember if this is June 1st or July 1st completion, somewhere in there. So really they'd have to start weeks before that. So we felt good with the amount of gravel we have on hand that we can start hauling when we need to, and they'll have to at least have started their production by the time we run out of what we have. So I don't think it'll be, I don't anticipate any problems for us.
Is there an option to crush more too?
Possibly,
Done that before.
we've done that probably the majority of the time, but we want to make sure it's what we like before we talk about that. So we'd want to see some gradations from them first before we talk about extending.
But they have to be expected.
They do, yes. But if they're some are out, the tolerance and some are in, but it's either you have to average them, you know, and if the average just barely makes the cut, maybe we say, no, we're gonna leave it alone. And, you know, we could do that.
But apparently it's a case where most of the other companies we've had must far exceed that standard. Have we done the additional?
Yes, yeah, most other times we have done the additional thing, you know, the gradation's been going well. We're happy with their workability, you know, maybe they'll. I can't really think of any good examples to say why we wouldn't extend it, but you know, we have that option. You know, most of the guys are, you know, stockpiling a nice location for us, you know, and something convenient for us.
But if anything, based on price, if they do a good job, we might want to have them do even more.
We might, yep, good. We have that option, so.
If they're available, or if they're not supposed to. Be
Right, yeah. Yeah, it's got to work for them too, but I mean, you know, based on price, it looks pretty attractive.
Yeah.
It's not always great and he kind of nervous about running out, so that's where it's good to
Right.
need to put up more.
Right, and I don't know, it's hard to tell, like we get a bunch of rains and have a ton of flooding, bunch of gravel loss, maybe we're gonna feel like there we have to go more, but we did this based on you know what we have. We took what we have on hand and
Sure.
Okay, well, we need to make a decision on this, so I would entertain a motion.
Move to go with the low bid from our review.
Support that. Okay, move the second to go with the low bid road meeting. The low bid was $95,200. Okay, any further discussion or questions? Okay, hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? None. Passed unanimously. Very good. Then moved on to culverts.
So this one's a little bit more complicated. When we started looking at the bid sheets from ANC, we found a bunch of whiteout. That's fine, it's within the rules. It says that if you change your bid, you have to initial buy it. They initial buy all of them, but there's a ton of opportunities for math errors. So we did a little bit of quick spot checking. We didn't find anything. We've done a bunch of work with ANC before. I have no concerns with them, but I would recommend awarding to them contingent on our full review, which is going to take a while because there's 6 projects with 20 bid items each or whatever. So that's a lot of math we'd have to do there. But I think even if we find something, there's still going to be a low bid. But so I would like to award them contingent on our final review, which we'll have done. You know, it'll take us probably an hour or so when we get back, or maybe an hour.
So then, if there are no concerns after you final reserve, that's fine. Or does that have to come back to us to ratify our contingent?
I would say if it changes a little bit, or we need to come back to the full board. But even if it, to me, if it changed it and but they were still low, I think it would, because it's
You'd have to change over 100,000. That's unlikely.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think it's very unlikely, but it says in there, in the MnDOT spec book and or in our proposal, I can't remember where it's at, maybe it's in both places. But it says any discrepancies found, the unit price is governed, and that's not uncommon. I feel like probably every other year we have a bid that changes because there was a minor math error. So,
yeah.
So, yeah.
Could you run it by me? Concerning this, I'm not following them.
So they whited out a bunch of their unit prices, and I wish I went to center. I could just show it to you. And then they penned in their new number, and they initialed by their change to show that they changed it. That is allowed within the rules. If you look out in the parking lot 15 minutes before the bid opening, you'll see subcontractor out there in their pickup, you know, their suppliers undercut each other up until the last possible minute. That's not fun, but that's something that they have to deal with.
So the unit prices that they whited out, that was their unit price that they had typed in originally.
Yes.
So they just made a last minute change.
They made a last minute change is what they did, which then changes their total for that bid item.
Right.
And then they have to re-add all their totals for each project. And I think 4 of the 6 projects have changes. So then they'll have to re-add up all the project totals. And while they're hastily doing that on a calculator in the parking lot, I can see where there's a
So you're
change.
just questioning the addition to
The math.
Yeah.
Yeah, just check for math errors.
Official action. I want to go back and just double check and make sure everything's right. So that's why I would like to award it to them contingent on math checking out. I think it's highly likely it will check out just fine.
And again, procedurally, if we do make the motion to award contingent, that's it, as long as everything checks out.
Yeah,
we don't have to come back and take further action.
Yeah, I would say I think we'd be fine if we awarded contingent on the review, proving that they're still the low bid or whatever, however you want to word that, you know, but I don't anticipate any problems, just kind of a nerdy engineer thing. There's a little technicality and I want to make sure we're covered for it.
We got to call it technicality.
hopefully with their lowering up.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Even if
Yeah.
it goes up, you've got $988,000
Differential.
cushion there.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. We're talking $2,000,
Yeah.
$1.5 million job.
And
Well, then I'm a
Make a
little bit.
motion to approve K and C contingent on their department's review that they're the low bidder.
Thank you. I'll support it. Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Appreciate all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Very good.
And then again, you know, thanks for another 4 years. I really like working here. We got good staff, in the highway department, we got good, management here at the courthouse. And good more, I have one more, I guess it's funny. So I'm proud of it. Thank you for your yeah, no mechanic, but the maintenance positions are full.
Good.
So,
Good. Did your equipment get fixed? It was in the shop, the 3 snow blowers and the 2 trucks and the grader.
the one truck is an SNS. The blades got fixed, but one repair didn't work or whatever, so I think Cat had to come back and finish that up. 3 blowers were all running again, and I don't remember where we're at after that. They've probably been running and broken
Right.
since I talked to you last.
That sounds like.
Yeah, I know. Trying to widen some of those roads out, found that snow has melted and froze and melted and froze, melted and frozen up to where it's like trying to blow rocks out of, so we can go through a lot of shear pins. But I think right before I came up, I heard one was making a funny noise, sounds like bearing out again. So,
Well, again, we know that your equipment operators are stepping up in the shop, doing as well too, and that's very much appreciated. Make sure they hear that. We do appreciate it.
yeah, we actually got 2 guys with mechanic formal training, and one guy who was super handy with
Nice.
around the shop. So I'm like, wow, that's pretty cheap.
But they want to stay equipment operators.
Yeah, so the newest maintenance operator, he has a degree in mechanics or diesel mechanic, but he wanted to be an equipment operator. So
You got any experience?
or
Or just a degree?
he worked for a some type of trucking outfit out of Sioux Falls, I believe. So I think there's actually a chance that if he realizes what we do, and that is, I would call it not very overwhelming mechanic work, I'm not trying to downplay it by any means, but
There's a lot of maintenance.
yeah, it's heavily on the maintenance side. So maybe when he sees that, maybe he'll say, maybe that's something I would. So we might get lucky that way. I would certainly let him try it out because we have a retirement papers turned in for one of our workers at the end of June. So he take a test run at it for a few months, and if he didn't like it, we know there's going to be an open maintenance spot, so he can go back to it. So.
Is it possible to actually combine a couple jobs? So you could actually combine equipment operator and mechanic into one job description?
You need a full-time mechanic.
Yeah,
You do.
Yeah,
so we,
Speaking from a guy who did it, right?
You know, snow when you're short, mechanic still.
Yeah.
Well, snow.
Right.
well, that's
also already it is. And
Well,
it
that's
has
just
to do
what
with
you
the
gotta
value.
do.
right.
That is part of the mechanics job descriptions as well.
Oh, yeah. It's part.
Yeah, so it's kind of been covered already.
It's in there. Kind of do as anything you're told to do.
Pretty much.
The last line of the job description. All other duties as required. Oh, by the
Yeah,
way,
that's the last guy, I guess, called out to the road and, you know, the first to come back, if you will, but, yeah, that's, you know, our last mechanic, that's kind of how he got into the maintenance position thing. He ended up doing a lot of stuff on the road and then he's asked to switch to that position.
I don't know, and a little bit, maybe you're all familiar with this, there's not a huge difference in pay between the mechanic and the maintenance, so it's
Right.
probably a little bit easier job to go to the maintenance.
Yeah, that very well could be. I'm not sure what that Comfort study is going to suggest.
No, and
just, yeah, I was gonna comment on that.
yeah,
Yeah.
that might,
Might change a lot after
Mhm.
we get that back. I don't know. I hate to guess, because I just,
I think a lot
I
of
think
things.
it will
have
change a
changed.
lot.
well, true, but I'm just saying that range that Doug was talking about, that pay
Mhm.
differential, that might change quite a bit.
It might.
Right.
That study back.
In my,
Mhm.
I hate to speculate on that. I've been wrong before, so.
but that's the reason some are going that way.
Yes, yeah, I agree. Yep.
Very good. Well, any other business? Okay, our next meeting then is going to be April 11th. Entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved, everyone seconded. We are adjourned at 11:20. Thank you, guys.
You find that.